The Olympic Peninsula is one of the last great places in the United States. People come here for the recreational opportunities and beauty, and many people live here because of the clean and fresh drinking water. Senator Patty Murray and Representative Derek Kilmer's Wild Olympic Wilderness and Wild and Scenic Rivers Act would permanently protect ancient forests and critical fish and wildlife habitat on the Olympic Peninsula, preserve sources of clean and safe drinking water, and maintain recreational access. The proposal would permanently protect the best of the Olympic Peninsula's public lands without costing timber jobs or recreational access. If passed, the Wild Olympics legislation would permanently protect more than 126,000 acres of Olympic National Forest as wilderness and more than 460 miles of 19 rivers as wild and scenic rivers. Take action at the link below to support the Wild Olympics. Washington Wild is a founding member of the Wild Olympics campaign, which is led by 4 local organizations based on the Olympic Peninsula. For a little background information, let's talk about 2 important legislative tools to protect our public lands: the Wilderness Act of 1964 and the Wild and Scenic Rivers Act of 1968. The Wilderness Act designated wilderness is the strongest level of protection of federal lands, which keeps these forests in pristine condition. The act does not allow logging, new mining, roads, or motorized vehicle use. The Wilderness Act also allows recreational use including fishing, rafting, camping, and climbing. The Wild and Scenic Rivers Act is primarily focused on protecting free-flowing rivers by prohibiting new dam construction. Dams stop the flow of water and increase sediment issues and have a negative impact on fish, as salmon cannot get through the dams. The Wild Olympics Wilderness and Wild and Scenic Rivers Act uses both of these designations to permanently protect the ancient forests, free-flowing rivers, critical fish and wildlife habitat, and clean water that we already have intact from threats like future logging, mining, or development. Millions of dollars have been invested towards protecting and restoring salmon habitat on the Olympic Peninsula, including the historic Elwha Dam removal. These are expensive but critically important efforts. While we work to restore what we have lost, we also need to permanently protect our collective investment in salmon and orca recovery. The Wild Olympics legislation was introduced to Congress in 2012. Recently, the bill was passed in the House of Representatives as part of a larger bill including funding for the military. The Wild Olympics legislation will protect underrepresented low-elevation forests and salmon streams. Consider this. Of all the designated wilderness in Washington state, more than 90% of that is above 3,000 feet elevation, which is mostly scenic areas that are above the tree line. In the 1960s, 70s, and 80s, timber interests at the height of their power worked hard to limit the amount of lower elevation ancient forests that got protected as wilderness. The Wild Olympics is looking to change that and focuses on protecting the underrepresented low elevation areas that are below the 3,000 feet. This will help protect forest, salmon streams, and recreational opportunities in lower forested areas. Also, the Wild Olympics legislation will protect watersheds and the rivers that deliver clean, cold water downstreams for farms, salmon, shellfish growers, local residents, and the ailing Puget Sound. This legislation will protect the sources of clean water for recovering salmon and orca whale populations. This is a balanced proposal, preserving access to wilderness areas, keeping trailheads where they are, avoiding impacts to local timber jobs, preserving existing access on Forest Service system roads, and listening to local stakeholders on the Olympic Peninsula. The proposal boundary lines were drawn to not include forest system roads, ensuring there was no negative impact on existing timber sales or recreational access in the Olympic Peninsula. Also, years of effort was invested between wilderness advocates and mountain bikers to craft boundary lines that exclude mountain bike trails from proposed wilderness so that they can still be used. This resulted in the endorsement of the proposal by state and national mountain biking leaders. As a result, this proposal has unprecedented support with more than 800 local stakeholders and 12,000 local individuals of the Olympic Peninsula, and the support of more than 20,000 individuals statewide. Take action to support the Wild Olympics proposal by going to the Washington Wild website, clicking on Take Action, scroll down to Action Alerts, and click on the Wild Olympics alert. Together, we can help protect the Wild Olympics.